everybody. Welcome to my podcast. Yeah, I said it. My name is Dialis, and I do this podcast to share stories and truths and try to bring more connection to the world. And I'm going to talk a lot about BTS too. Also, I got new headphones. Anyways, I've been trying to figure out how to film this particular episode of why BTS? Why BTS? And I've written outlines to make sure that I'm focused. Also, because I want to make sure this is valuable. I've recorded this many times. I had a lot of technical issues too. But I realized that I actually already have it all written down. When I started going to school, I had to write an essay for my English class. It was a personal narrative essay, just about something that happened. I've always enjoyed writing. I enjoyed journaling. And when I reread it, it made me cry. Liquid emotion. It's kind of a way for me to judge impact. If I can bring myself to tears, someone else might be moved as well. Liquid emotion. What can we say about it? It just happened. I'm going to try to read this and not cry, but we'll see. So this is my essay written on August 24th, 2019, and it's called Uncomfortable Joy. I hate being hot. Worse, I hate being wet and hot, and I can get extremely cranky. I live in Seattle where it's cool most of the time and I love it, but honestly, the air conditioning and fans are on year round. I must stay cool to remain safe. This spring, I found myself in the most hot, humid, wet, rainy, and uncomfortable situations. Yet there was an intense amount of joy, happiness, and love. Earlier this year, my ambitious coworker showed me a video of a Korean boy band named BTS. It was a vividly colorful performance, but without knowing what they were saying, it didn't astonish me too much. However, my friend, the amount of happiness she displayed was fascinating and infectious. She eagerly talked about how much this boy band was bringing her out of some difficult times. Daily, she came to my cubicle to show me the latest video while describing each of the members' personalities and quirks. She had her favorite, what they call a bias, as I would later learn, and it reminded me of the days when I was over the moon about boy bands like New Kids on the Block and NSYNC. It brought back fond memories of when my friends and I had posters of actors and singers all over our walls. Ah, the joyful days of youth. These days, it's long commutes to concrete jungles and concerns over interest rates, boring meetings, and joyless conference calls. Getting a tan under the fluorescent lights while listening to someone drone on about budget proposals. Being an adult can be awfully sad and depressed. With the content my friends shared, my interest grew. The members have a strong, clear message of loving and truly expressing oneself. Also going through a bit of an emotional rough patch, I found myself consuming their videos. Everything from dance practices to silly interviews where they shared what their favorite American foods are. This boy band was definitely on the rise, genuine and too adorable for their own good. It was inspiring to see the levels of hard work they put in and have that reflected in the strength of their fan base. I caught myself happily humming to their music, waiting for people to show up to a meeting that had started 10 minutes prior, even though I detest tardiness. The long commute home wasn't so bad when the new content was uploaded on YouTube. So when my friend told me that a movie of their latest concert was coming to theaters, I was somewhat hesitant, but still intrigued enough to go because I was feeling a sense of happiness that had been somewhat forgotten. The movie was unbelievably enjoyable. As far as words they were singing and speeches to their fans, I maybe knew 0.5% of what was being said, but what was felt was something more. I felt a group of musicians who adore entertaining and showing honest gratitude towards their fans. Ooh, starting to waver. I felt passion in their lyrics and energy in their dance moves. It's as if I understood what they were saying without being able to speak any more Korean outside of a simple "annyeong." I clapped and smiled as if I were at the concert myself, and it was uplifting and wonderfully surprising. A few months went by, and then came the day BTS was coming out with a new album. Speculation of a tour went on for a short time, and then it was also announced a new world tour with stops in the US. Would this mean my friend and I could see them in person? The answer is yes. My friend had an entire strategy for obtaining tickets. It was a well thought out and highly prepped operation involving 7 computers and the highest speed of internet that could be obtained. This would be the hottest ticket of the year, and demand was enormous. When the dust settled, she was able to secure tickets for all 3 US stops: Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. With her strategy, she ended up with some killer seats to boot. Then my friend asked me which one I would like to attend, and I was beside myself with the thought that she wanted me to enjoy something like this with her. I certainly didn't feel like I was that big of a fan, but what an amazing opportunity and have an incredible experience, just like I felt watching the movie. The smile on my face was hurting my cheeks. I decided to pick Chicago because I had never been, and my friend told me there were several preparations we needed to make outside of the standard travel arrangements. First, comfortable shoes. I was told this is a request from the band members themselves because they said we would be dancing together all night. Next was the essential BTS light stick. This was an interactive light source that fans wave in the air while the concert is happening. The lights would match the colors of the stage and bring a sense of inclusion to the show. With all the preparations made and tickets booked, it was a tangible excitement, and I was off to the Windy City. Windy City indeed. The weather was bordering on rain every time I checked, and I was constantly checking. The concert was at Soldier Field, an outdoor stadium where I was going to be jumping and dancing around all night. Activities that'll surely raise my temperature. That paired with the rain did not bode well. Crankiness tried to rear its ugly head. Why am I doing this? I've got bills to pay and deadlines to meet. I don't need to be acting like some teenager screaming my head off at a concert halfway across the country. The crankiness and thought of weather quickly departed as I did the plane after landing. I was thrilled to be on the ground after a somewhat rocky descent and ready to go on a new adventure. I got on the L train into the city, carefully watching the rain as it was lightly coming down. When I got off the train and walked to the hotel, I spotted a 7-Eleven and prayed they had ponchos. Lo and behold, I looked out and thought to myself, okay, I can handle this. I'm prepped. It wasn't raining too much. And this was just Seattle rain, light, and it'll eventually pass. Boy, was I wrong. That was not just Seattle rain. That was rain. And that was wind. It was not the cold that I enjoy. It was the cold that makes you shiver. Luckily, when we got to the stadium, we had to walk a bit to the entrance. I had my poncho, so that paired with the movement kept me somewhat even keel. When we got through security, we were undercover, and it got better, but still muggy with all the people standing around. My friend got sound check tickets, which allowed us to go see the group do a couple songs a few hours before the main show. It was a coveted extra to participate in and described to me as an up-close mini personal concert. After a stint in the crowd holding area, we were headed to the floor, and then the rain began again. Once we were to our seats, they were puddled with water, and the event staff was passing out ponchos. I was next to a girl whose lips were turning blue because she was only dressed in shorts and a tank top. I gave her the poncho that I got from the staff, hoping that would help her retain some of the heat that she needed, but clearly it didn't. With the shuffling in lines and holding areas, the cloud cover and the rain, even the wind, I was starting to boil. I was approaching the physical feeling that will make everything else miserable. Crankiness was quickly rising, like my internal temperature. Then the music came on, and that's when it hit me. I realized I was mere feet away from one of the most popular boy bands since the Beatles, as their records would later show. They were every bit as incredible and personable on stage as they were in the videos that I had seen up until then. The smile didn't leave my face for hours. It's a good thing I can edit. When you mention you are a BTS fan, it often gets met with groans and sighs, eyes rolling and head shaking, especially if you're not of the age where it is socially acceptable to be interested in a boy band. What's worse is the judgment you hear about the way they look, which is different from typical American pop stars. When you become a BTS fan, you are welcomed into a community of love and respect. There is no judgment about your age, the way you look, status, or level of fan you are. You soon discover that their lyrics are about loving oneself, gratitude, and kindness. Songs about struggle, yet overcoming darkness. Songs that allow healing, pride, confidence, acceptance, happiness, beauty, love, and joy. Music that tells you it's okay to be yourself and express yourself in your own unique way. All of this wrapped up in 7 zany and honest personalities that will keep you smiling, laughing, and realizing life is lived for those special moments. My coworker lived for those moments, and so did the shivering girl I gave my poncho to. The rain eventually stopped by the time the main show began. However, that was when the Windy Cindy showed her face again. At that point, the weather and my personal temperature was the farthest from my mind. I was having the absolute time of my life at this concert. At one point, I stopped and took a good look around, realizing the fact I was amongst a crowd of 60,000 people who absolutely felt like close friends. All of us in the middle of America, singing our hearts out in Korean. Instead of rain pouring down, it was love for ourselves, love for each other, and the members of BTS. Each one in turn giving everything they had to make it a memorable show on that damp and windy night. It's been difficult to define why I'm a fan of the Korean pop group BTS. I admire these musicians for delivering such an important and incredible message of love, acceptance, and inclusion in their art form that doesn't really need a specific language to be understood. There are many times when life is just pouring down on you. You prepare to go down a path of misery, or perhaps you are already on it. You're cranky and uncomfortable, but the gloomy downpour will eventually stop. There will be delight again. Next thing you know, you are in one of those precious moments, one of joy, happiness, and most of all, love. A moment which brings that cheek-hurting smile back to your face, right where it belongs. Did I get an A+ on that paper? Yes, I did. And that encompasses it. This concert, this was Love Yourself, Speak Yourself Tour, Chicago, day 1. Through behind the scenes videos when concert footage came out, and even into the future, the guys talk about that concert a lot. They remember it. They remember they didn't want ARMY to be cold, and they knew that we were waiting outside. And so when they bring it up, they bring it up quite often. What's, your biggest memory from, going on tour or being with your fans, and they talk about that a lot. And that was my concert. That's when I met them. So it's just as important to me as it is to them. Who knew? Who this was gonna happen in my life? Liquid emotion. So yeah, that's why. That's why. Thank you so much for listening to my story as I tried to read my essay. Words. I would love to hear your story too. How do I want to conclude this? A little plug for my friends. Please go check out my friends' Etsy stores. They're wonderful artists who create jewelry and paintings, all inspired by BTS, inspired from becoming ARMY. I have friends that have Etsy shops because of their love for BTS. And I'm doing a podcast because of them. I mean, come on. So if you want to know why BTS, maybe you can write an essay about it too. So again, thank you, everybody. I'll be back. It takes a lot of energy sometimes, and I'm still trying to deal with some stuff. I always try to think of some fancy thing. Oh, I came up with an actual ending, especially when I'm on my rants. I said a lot of things today, but yeah, I said it. Peace, everybody.